The Cornish Rex is an exquisite breed of cats with a very soft and curly coat that embodies the most striking features of the little fidget. His playfulness and curiosity will not let you get bored even for a minute. The Cornish Rex will certainly become the main reason for your carefree smile and frequent chuckles. The mobility and inexhaustible energy of a cat give it a resemblance to a perpetual motion machine, which was never invented but somehow incredibly found its reflection in a four-legged beauty. The Cornish Rex is the animal that will get to the tallest box, the most inaccessible corner of your apartment, with agile and surprisingly strong paws as assistants. Do not opt for this breed if you like more independent and calm cats. History of the Cornish Rex breed. Few people know that the world could see a new breed much earlier than in the middle of the 20th century. A few years earlier, its first representative was seen in Berlin near one of the hospitals. Passers-by did not pay enough attention to either the kitten's charm or its short curly fur. The post-war years forced the Germans to think about more important things than a homeless, albeit unusual, animal. For this reason, the Cornish Rex breed officially began its existence in 1950, and this is due to an ordinary accident. On a July morning, Nina Ennismore, the owner of a small farm near the village of Bodmin Moor in Cornwall, was in for a surprise in the face of an unusual kitten that was radically different from her litter counterparts. While the four-legged inhabitants of English farms had a dense coat, a round head and an impressive skeleton, the newborn baby became the owner of curly hair, a flexible body and a wedge-shaped head. Era's locators gave the kitten a resemblance to a representative of an extraterrestrial civilization, and the chosen nickname was no less eccentric. The baby was named Calabinker. Miss Ennismore was fascinated by the new charge, seeing in him more than a pronounced mutation. However, due to her short-sightedness, the woman almost gave up on the Cornish Rex, deciding to take the matured pet to castration. Fortunately, the veterinarian, whom Nina turned to, had a solid store of knowledge in the field of genetics and saw in Calabinker a possible progenitor of a new breed. After listening to the doctor's recommendations, Miss Ennismore turned to the breeders who at that time enjoyed authority and were highly respected people, A.C. Judah and B. Sterling Webb. Dr. Jude confirmed the words of the veterinarian. Calabinker is the first representative of a new breed, which is fundamentally different from those already registered. Responsibility for its development fell on the shoulders of Nina Ennismore, who came up with the name, Cornish Rex. The first part of the word indicated the homeland of the breed, while the second did not speak of aristocratic origin, but served as a kind of reference to the woman's previous activities. So, she bred a Strex rabbits, which, like the Calabinker, had a curly coat. First, Jude and Sterling Webb suggested testing the kitten's mutation for resistance. When the animal reached puberty, Miss Ennismore bred him with his mother Serena, who was an ordinary mongrel cat. As a result of mating, 3 kittens were born, 2 of which had the same remarkable appearance as Calabinker. Unfortunately, only one of them survived, later named Poldu. Nina continued the experiment on crossing Serena with 2 cats, while noting the percentage of curls to smooth-haired kittens. It was 55% in favor of Rex babies. This served as a vivid evidence of the recessive type of inheritance. The characteristic of the future breed were manifested if both parents were its carriers. 6 years after the start of breeding, Nina Ennismore faced financial problems that made breeding cats difficult. First of all, this was reflected in Serena and Calabinker, which suffered a cruel fate. Previously beloved by a woman, the cats were euthanized at the request of their mistress. A similar fate awaited the Cornish polled, if not for the timely intervention of Sterling Webb, who bought the cat and continued working on the breed on his own. However, this decision also had unpleasant, almost fatal consequences. During the collection of tissue, Poldu was inadvertently castrated. The only surviving representative of the breed by 1960 was Champagne Charlie, who was later crossed with other cats. Cornish Rexes were officially registered in the UK after 7 years. However, Foggy Albion was not the only home for the new breed. In 1957, Francis Blancheri acquired 2 Cornishes and transported them from the British Isles to the United States. At the same time, one of the Rex, red color, also called Tabby or Tabby, did not acquire offspring. A blue beauty named Lamorna Cove was more fortunate. She arrived in America already practically on demolition and soon gave offspring in the person of 2 Cornish Rexes of white and blue color. It is noteworthy that the long-suffering Englishman Poldu was the father of the kittens even before the unfortunate meeting with the veterinarian's scalpel. The spread of the breed across the United States began with these adorable babies. Before the charm of Lamorna Cove's offspring, the breeder Ellen Weiss could not resist, who acquired one of the kittens and named him Marmaduke. From him later many lines of American Cornish descended. Wanting to rise one step higher in the development of the breed, Weiss contacted the notorious Nina Ennismore, with whom she planned to conclude a profitable deal and acquire more kittens for further breeding. However, by that time, Ennismore had already got rid of her pets and was forced to bite her elbows from her own short-sightedness. The amount offered by Ellen Weiss would more than compensate for any financial difficulties of a woman. Once again, the Cornish Rex are under threat of extinction. In an attempt to prevent this, Diamond League crossed breeds with each other. Siamese, Burmese and American shorthair cats have become worthy genetic material for further breeding of Cornish cats. This experiment led to minor changes in the appearance of the Rex, but at the same time, gave them a huge variety of colors and colors. However, at present, crossing this breed with others is strictly prohibited. In 1983, the largest philinological organizations officially registered the Cornish Rex. Now this breed is gaining more and more popularity due to its sophisticated aristocratic image and inexhaustible love for its owners. Cornish Rex appearance. Despite the fact that the representatives of the breed look fragile and sophisticated, in reality everything is completely different. The curly fur, reminiscent of the touch of velvet fabric, hides strong muscles and strong bones, while sharp claws and teeth are ready to fight the offender. And the mass of animals is much larger than it seems. Cats weigh from 4 to 5 kilograms, while cats weigh from 3 to 4 kilograms. The Cornish Rex is a short-haired breed of medium to small size. At the same time, the American type looks more sophisticated and easy in comparison with the English one. Head and skull. For immigrants from the United States, an egg-shaped head is characteristic, while the native English can boast of its more triangular shape. At the same time, the width and length of the head of both types of the breed are in a ratio of 1:2. The skull is convex. Muzzle. The Cornish Rex muzzle is shaped like a small wedge. The stop is moderately pronounced or completely even. The rounded forehead merges into a Roman nose, the tip of which is located in one vertical line with a strong chin. High cheekbones are clearly defined. Ears. They have a wide base and a conical shape. Set relatively wide apart and at medium height. The tips of the ears are rounded, while the triangles themselves emphasize the wedge-shaped features of the face. Eyes. The slanted oval eyes are medium to large in size. They are located widely enough in relation to each other. The pigmentation of the iris is rich and matches the color of the animal. Jaws and teeth. The Cornish Rex's jaws are unexpectedly powerful. Straight or scissor bite, slight undershot allowed. The animal's front teeth form a line that is clearly visible when the Rex's head is turned in profile. The upper and lower canines are symmetrically located, with the former slightly deepened. Neck. The elegant and moderately long neck is well muscled. Housing. The Cornish Rex has a flexible and sturdy body. The body is slender and elongated, there is no hint of a cylindrical shape. The tucked-up belly slightly empties, which only emphasizes the arched back more strongly. Strong chest, moderately broad. From certain angles, a slightly pronounced proportional waist is noticeable. Tail. The thin tail of the animal is long enough and tapers smoothly towards the tip. Its mobility and flexibility gives it a whip-like feel. Extremities. The front and hind legs of the Cornish Rex are distinguished by thin bones that contrast with the strong musculature. At the same time, the hind limbs are stronger, which allows the animal to make significant jumps in height. The paws do not look massive, they have well-developed and long toes, collected in oval pads. Wool cover. Silky and soft to the touch wool is the main property of the Cornish Rex breed. Despite the absence of a strong guard hair, it adheres tightly to the body and lies in uniform waves. At the same time, on the lower part of the chin, chest and belly of the cat, the hair is slightly shorter, but at the same time more curly. Color. The color of the Cornish Rex can be absolutely any, both in the type of points and in the main color. Monochrome or classic tabby, the breed is really rich in all kinds of colors. Siamese drawing is often found. Individuals with this color were named C. Rex. Possible defects. The defects of the Cornish Rex breed include short tail, completely bald or very shaggy, stocky or massive build, overly long or wide head, rare wool cover, bald areas of the body, small ears. Representatives of the breed may be disqualified for the following reasons: insufficiently velvety coat, the presence of coarse guard hair, atypical number of fingers, pronounced kink of the tail, amputated claws, deafness and/or lameness, undescended testicles. The nature of the Cornish Rex. Are you repelled by the external resemblance of the animal to an unsociable bat, or, even worse, an alien? Let this misconception sink into oblivion as soon as possible. The nature of the Cornish Rex is truly unique and deserves your attention. This breed is considered one of the most playful and active. Cornish Rex will never become sofa cushions, basking in the morning sun and only occasionally stretching in response to a call, as not in the nature of these cats. Animals love to explore the territory, albeit a long-time familiar one, so they will not disregard the rumble of dishes in the kitchen, or a newspaper forgotten on the table, or a pigeon sitting on the windowsill. Any object caught by the Cornish is automatically regarded as a toy, so try not to keep fragile, and especially valuable items in sight. Provide protection for even the most remote shelves and cabinets, or even better, distract your pet's attention and time by throwing a ball or a purchased interactive toy. Recreating the Cornish Rex chase is crazy. The irrepressible attachment of the representatives of the breed to their owner will make even the most callous person shed a mean tear of affection. These cats can be very annoying, constantly spinning under their feet and making themselves felt by affectionate meows. However, at the same time, the animal will subtly feel the mood of a person and will give the long-awaited loneliness if he really wants it. In all other cases, you cannot avoid the fate of being loved half to death. Butting, biting, licking, trampling are far from the whole range of caresses that the Cornish give to their owners. Representatives of this breed get along well with children, but do not feel delighted with constant stay in their company. Of course, the animal will not show aggression towards the child, but it will prefer to hide from sight as soon as the opportunity arises. Cornish Rexes are wary of strangers and will not tolerate familiarity on their part. Distance is important for these animals, they are the first to begin and reduce it. As soon as the Cornish feels that there is no danger or threat coming from a person, he will gladly allow himself to be stroked and even jump into his arms, saying something in a cat's tongue. When starting a Rex as a pet, be prepared for the fact that he cannot stand loneliness. Locked doors and your long absence will force the animal to meow incessantly and look for any opportunity to throw out the accumulated energy, which, by the way, is fraught with unpleasant consequences. For this reason, try to keep the Cornish in the company of another animal, but keep in mind that he may be jealous of other cats. It is not recommended to have decorative rodents and birds, this will awaken hunting instincts in the animal. Cornish Rex is a breed that is characterized by softness and nobility. Nothing can annoy an animal, except, perhaps, unpleasant hygiene procedures. Education and training. In the world of felines, Cornish Rex are reputed to be true intellectuals, so they are easy to educate, even being playful kittens. As soon as the baby crosses the threshold of your house with his paws, draw a clear line between what you can and cannot do, and adhere to this requirement throughout the pet's life. At the same time, it is categorically not recommended to severely punish the Cornish for the slightest offense and raise his voice to him. To demonstrate dissatisfaction, it is enough to slap a newspaper on the floor near the animal, but in no case raise a hand on it. Otherwise, in the eyes of the Cornish, you will look like a threat and not a source of love and affection. Armed with patience, you can easily teach a representative of this breed the basic dog commands: sit, lie, meow, and even give a paw. Often, Rexes learn to bring a ball or other toy to their owner. These cats are calm about walking on a harness and in general, their behavior is more like dogs. Cornish Rexes perfectly understand the purpose of the tray and scratching posts, so there will be no problems with maintaining pet hygiene. Care and maintenance. Representatives of this breed are not the most whimsical in care, however, here you can also find their own nuances. Since the coat of animals is characterized by the absence of thick guard hair, skin secretions and sweat are not absorbed to the proper extent and thus necessitate a weekly bathing of the Cornish. In this case, it is recommended to use special mild shampoos, otherwise the pet's hair will lose its silkiness. After bath procedures, wrap the cat tightly in a towel so that she does not catch a cold. At the same time, it is necessary to eliminate even the slightest draft for the health of your pet. Cornish Rexes are not prone to frequent and abundant shedding, so they get along well with people who suffer from wool allergies. To remove dead hairs, you do not need to buy special devices, just walk over the animal's body with a damp piece of suede. Representatives of this breed are famous for their small paws and therefore never completely hide their claws. If they don't grind off naturally, it's time to arm yourself with a nail clipper or purchase a scratching post. To attract your pet's attention, you can sprinkle it with valerian extract or decorate it with something. Examine the eyes and ears of the Cornish regularly for any discharge, remembering to wipe them down with a cotton swab daily. For greater effect, you can moisten it with tea leaves. Please note that this procedure is especially disliked by all Cornishes, so to avoid problems, wait until your pet is in a playful and supportive mood. If the animal refuses to give up, leave this matter to the veterinarian and wait for the cat to get used to the discomfort over time. Oral care is also necessary. Once a month, you should brush your pet's teeth with a special paste. When doing this, make sweeping movements from the base to the edge of the tooth. The active lifestyle of the Cornish Rex is the main reason why it constantly feels hungry. It is highly discouraged to overfeed your pet as this breed is prone to obesity. The daily ration of elite food is more than enough. In this case, from time to time it is necessary to dilute the animal's diet with natural food. Ideally, it is worth adhering to a certain feeding regime, otherwise the pet will every now and then beg you for a tidbit. Cornish Rex health and disease. The representatives of this breed are characterized by good health and the absence of specific diseases. However, the Cornish still has weak points. Common diseases include impaired metabolism, retinal atrophy, greasy tail, hypokalemia, alopecia. To avoid health problems for your pet, you should regularly visit your veterinarian for a routine checkup. Timely vaccination, and it is permissible from the age of 3 months of the animal's age, is no less important. Paying due attention to the Cornish Rex, you will get a healthy and, most importantly, a happy pet, which will often delight you with its antics. How to choose a kitten. When looking for your best friend, follow a simple rule: don't listen to anyone but yourself. The breeder's insistent recommendations as to which kitten to buy does not always have a positive background. Rely only on your own intuition, and do not forget that the Cornish Rex can choose their owner based on instincts. Ideally, kittens are weaned from their mother at 2.5 months of age. Otherwise, you risk acquiring a pet with unbalanced psychological and physical health. It is undesirable to buy Cornish Rex in the so-called poultry markets. Savings on the price of the animal will further result in huge costs for restoring the pet's great health. The cattery will be the ideal place to buy a kitten. Do not be afraid to seem intrusive to the breeder by asking questions. Usually conscientious breeders are happy to talk about their charges and, at the first request, show a veterinary passport and other important documents. When meeting with babies, pay attention to their behavior. Have you noted the most active and cheerful? Take it, it's yours. But lethargic kittens who do not take part in the game with their brothers should be avoided. They are probably sick and will add a lot of trouble to you in the future. How much is a Cornish Rex? Kittens from the same litter should cost the same. This is the main misconception of many. Unfortunately, this is not the case. The cost of the Cornish Rex is determined by its belonging to one of 3 classes: show from $600, breed from $300 to $400, pet from $100 to $300. To participate in exhibitions and a possible victory at them, it is customary to buy show-class Cornish Rexes. Cats and cats of the breed category are intended for breeding and therefore are famous for their excellent pedigree. Pet class animals are turned on for the soul. Moreover, the latter are often sold for castration, since they are not suitable for breeding due to certain defects in the breed. If you are not stopped by an irregular tail curvature or an insufficiently refined Cornish physique, opt for the pet category. It is more than enough to acquire a loyal and loving friend.